Caitlin Clark's name hit headlines for the right reasons, but not everyone is cheering. As news broke that Nike would give Clark her own signature sneaker, envy quietly bubbled across the league. Industry insiders and even fellow athletes have expressed subtle and sometimes outright resentment. In a sport long overshadowed by its male counterpart, Clark's swift leap to icon status has unsettled the status quo. She's young, still proving herself on the court.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
Yet already being placed in conversations next to legends like LeBron James. For some, that feels premature. For Nike, it's a calculated bet on a player whose reach goes beyond basketball. This move isn't just about sneakers. It's about shifting power. Nike's announcement affirms that women athletes aren't waiting for permission to be seen as global stars. They already are. By investing in Clark, Nike is pushing conversation forward, proving that cultural impact and market potential matter more than gatekeeping. And while the noise of jealousy may echo for now, history tends to remember the trailblazers. Caitlin Clark just made sneaker history. Yep, you heard that right. Nike is giving Caitlin Clark her own signature shoe, and this isn't just a branding move. It's a full-on cultural reset. We're talking game-changing, ceiling-shattering, industry-rattling type of moment. This isn't a collab or a special edition colorway. This is the real deal, a signature sneaker. The kind of deal usually reserved for legends like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, or Kobe Bryant. And now, Caitlin Clark is entering that elite territory. It's not just a win for her, it's a moment for women's sports. Let's break this down, because this move means so much more than just a shoe. When Nike announced that Caitlin Clark would be getting her own signature sneaker, the excitement was immediate. Social media lit up. Sports fans, sneakerheads, young girls, and longtime supporters of women's basketball all came together in shock and celebration. Because let's be honest, this kind of investment in a female athlete doesn't happen every day. In fact, it almost never happens. Caitlin Clark, still so early in her pro career, is now standing at the front of a movement. She's not just another rising star in the WNBA. She's being treated like a brand. And Nike isn't just betting on her athleticism. They're betting on her influence, her story, her power. And if you've been following Caitlin at all, you know this moment didn't come out of nowhere. She's been dominating headlines, setting records, and pulling ratings like no one else. She's got fans, she's got rivals, and she's got people talking, which, in 2025, is more valuable than ever. So why now? Why her? It all comes down to three words: marketability, momentum, and meaning. First off, marketability. Caitlin Clark isn't just a good player. She's a star. She's got a playing style that commands attention. Sharp, confident, entertaining. She drops threes from the logo like it's nothing. She's been compared to Steph Curry for a reason. Nike sees that kind of electricity and knows they can sell it. Second, momentum. Women's basketball is on the rise. Viewership is up. Attendance is up. Merch sales? Up. The WNBA is riding a wave of public interest, and Caitlin Clark is right at the center of it. Her college games were must-watch TV. Her draft was a major event. Her WNBA debut? Packed arena. People care, and they care a lot. And third, the meaning, because this isn't just about basketball. This is about progress. It's about representation. It's about finally treating women athletes like the stars they are, not just in talent, but in value. Nike knows what this moment represents, and that's why they're all in. This is more than a shoe drop. This is a long-term investment, a declaration, a message to every young girl watching. Yes, you could be the face of the game. Yes, you can be iconic. And Nike isn't playing it safe, either. They're planning to release Caitlin's shoe worldwide. That means international markets. That means global reach. That means positioning her not just as an American athlete, but as a global ambassador for women's basketball. And it's working, because what we're seeing is a shift. Women's sports aren't just getting attention, they're getting respect. Real financial, strategic respect. Nike didn't have to do this. They could have waited. They could have watched her WNBA career unfold a bit more before making such a major move. But they didn't. They acted now, because they see what's coming, and they want to be the ones leading the charge. Now, of course, not everyone is thrilled. Some athletes, men and women, are feeling the pressure. There's envy. There's skepticism. Some people are side-eyeing this rollout, questioning whether she's earned a signature sneaker so early. But that's exactly the point. Those reactions prove that Caitlin Clark is shaking things up, challenging the status quo. She's forcing people to look at the sports industry differently. This is no longer a boys' club. And while some critics are stuck debating whether she deserves this level of attention, Nike's already moved on. They're not focused on the past. They're focused on what Caitlin Clark represents next. Let's be clear, Nike's not handing this out as a favor. They're doing it because they see the numbers, the reach, the headlines, the engagement. They've studied the market and realized Caitlin Clark isn't just a player. She's a movement, and movements sell shoes. This isn't just about her jump shot. This is about cultural capital. Nike's faith in Clark is loud and intentional. They're not here for a viral moment. They're building a legacy. They want a star with staying power, someone who can carry a brand on and off the court. And Caitlin fits the bill. She's got charisma. She's got haters. She's got highlights. In today's sports economy, that's gold. But more than that, she's got impact. Because let's be honest, the sneaker world has long been dominated by men. The fact that a woman, barely into her professional career, is stepping into that same tier, that's huge. That's unheard of. And that's exactly why this matters. Caitlin's sneaker isn't just a product. It's a message. A billboard-sized reminder that women athletes can be the face of billion-dollar marketing campaigns, that they can sell out arenas, break TV records, and yes, have their own signature shoes lining the shelves. And this ripple effect, it's already starting. You're going to see more brands paying attention. More companies realizing that women's sports aren't just a nice PR checkbox. They're a legitimate, growing market. A chance to reach fans who have been ignored for way too long. Caitlin's rise is inspiring a generation. Little girls seeing her shoe on the shelf are going to know that this level of success isn't just for the LeBrons and Jordans of the world. It's for them, too. That's what this is about. It's about reprogramming an industry that's been one-dimensional for decades. It's about creating new icons, new blueprints, new goals. And Nike's not just riding the wave. They're helping create it. They're not waiting for the world to change. They're helping push it there. Sure, there are still challenges. The sports world doesn't shift overnight. There are still skeptics, still outdated mindsets, still roadblocks. But when a company like Nike makes a move this bold, it sends a clear message. The old rules no longer apply. And maybe that's what scares people. Because when you take a player like Caitlin Clark and give her the same treatment usually reserved for Hall of Fame legends, you're forcing people to confront a new reality. One where talent, marketability, and influence matter more than tradition. One where the glass ceiling isn't just cracked. It's on the floor in pieces. So where does this go from here? Nike's made their bet. Caitlin's got the platform. The momentum is building. And the world is watching. This moment isn't just about a sneaker. It's about the start of a new era. Women's sports are no longer a side note. They're front and center. And with Clark leading the way, the industry is finally waking up to what's been obvious for a while. Women athletes are ready. They've been ready. The only difference now, the world's finally catching up. So if you've been waiting for a sign that things are changing, this is it. The sneaker is real. The moment is happening. And the future? It's wearing number 22. Let us know what you think. Are you getting Clark's signature? Should other brands follow Nike's lead? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns on the wild world of sports culture, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to see it. We'll be watching how this unfolds. Because something tells us this is only the beginning. Absolutely. Let's keep going because the story, it's only getting bigger. The ripple effects of Caitlin Clark's signature sneaker deal with Nike aren't limited to basketball. We're talking about a full-blown industry shakeup. This is corporate. This is cultural. This is commercial evolution. And once a billion-dollar brand like Nike breaks formation and starts treating a young woman athlete like a global icon from day one, you better believe every other sportswear giant is watching, squinting into the distance like, wait, did we just miss the moment? Yes, they did. Because while everyone else was still trying to figure out how to make women's sports more watchable or more marketable, Nike just cut the noise and moved. With confidence, with cash, with commitment. That's what makes this so different. Most women's sport investments have historically felt cautious, conditional, like the support is always half-hearted, always trial-run energy. Like the minute the numbers dip, it's back to square one. But this Caitlin Clark deal isn't just real, it's loudly real. Nike didn't bury it in a press release. They celebrated it. They amplified it. And in doing so, they sent a clear signal. We're not just supporting women's basketball. We're profiting from it. Intentionally. Confidently. Strategically. That's the power shift here. Because when a global behemoth like Nike decides women's sports are not just viable but valuable, it forces the rest of the industry to recalibrate. Fast. And that recalibration is happening in real time. You got young girls who've never seen themselves in sneaker ads now wondering what it would look like to be on a billboard. You got college recruits thinking, wait, is the WNBA about to be lucrative? You got parents realizing their daughters might not have to choose between passion and paycheck. This deal doesn't just uplift one athlete. It changes the math for everybody. But of course, with change comes tension. There's been no shortage of side eyes and whispers from within the sports world, some subtle, some not, because Caitlin's rise is threatening a hierarchy that's been untouched for decades. And any time a young woman starts gaining too much power, too fast, people get uncomfortable. They start asking questions they'd never ask a man. Is she ready for this? Has she earned it? What about longevity? Let's talk about that. Because somehow, when male athletes get huge endorsements early in their careers, it's called recognizing potential. But when a woman does it, suddenly it's premature. Caitlin Clark is getting the same scrutiny LeBron did back when he signed that $90 million Nike deal before ever playing an NBA game. But here's the difference. LeBron was praised as a chosen one. Caitlin, she's being debated in Twitter threads. The double standard isn't subtle, but it is collapsing. And Caitlin isn't folding under pressure. She's leaning in. She's not just surviving the spotlight. She's thriving in it. Every headline, every hater, every sideline might catching a too confident moment, fuel. Every time she's criticized for being cocky, another reason she's being compared to the greats. Because love her or hate her, you know who Caitlin Clark is. And Nike knows exactly what they're doing by betting on that kind of polarization. People buy from stars, not statistics. And Caitlin Clark is a star in the old school, must-watch, love to love her or love to hate her kind of way. She fills arenas. She trends without trying. She makes headlines that sports media can't ignore. And Nike's not interested in playing it safe. They're interested in impact. That's why they're building a brand around her, not just for now, but for the next decade. We've seen this blueprint before. A signature shoe is never just about a sneaker. It's about legacy. It's about influence. It's about setting someone up to own a piece of the culture. Not just while they're playing, but long after they're gone. And Caitlin's getting that treatment early. That's not an accident. It's a statement. She's being positioned as a generational athlete. Not just someone who plays the game, but someone who defines it. And it's working. Retailers are gearing up for massive demand. Young fans are already asking when the drop is. Other brands? Scrambling. Coaches, schools, and grassroots programs are already shifting their pitch to future recruits. Look what's possible now. Because let's be honest, there wasn't a blueprint like this before. Caitlin Clark is making the blueprint. She's becoming the athlete that every girl growing up playing basketball will point to when someone says, women's sports don't sell. And here's the real kicker. This move from Nike is already paying off. The buzz is undeniable. The reach is global. The headlines are writing themselves. Every second she's on the court, she's not just playing a game. She's moving product. That's the commercial shift Nike is banking on. not just elevating women's sports, but monetizing them in a way that actually rewards the players driving the culture forward. Because what's the point of breaking records if you're not breaking pay ceilings, too? And here's something else that's easy to overlook in all the noise. Caitlyn's still proving herself on the court night after night. She's not some viral one-season wonder. She's here for the long haul. Nike knows that. They've done their research. They've run the numbers. And they've decided she's worth every cent. Not because she's the next someone, but because she's the first Caitlin Clark. That distinction matters. Because too often, women in sports are forced to be defined by proximity. The female Steph. The next Sue Bird. Caitlin's breaking out of that shadow. She's not a copy. She's an origin story. And Nike's packaging that into something bigger than a shoe. They're building a movement. A globally distributed, multi-million-dollar movement. On shelves, in ads, on screens. And they're not alone. The rest of the sports world is catching on. You're going to see more brands trying to copy this play. More companies looking for their next Caitlin. More pressure on leagues to support their women athletes better. More incentives for broadcasters to prioritize women's games. Because now the proof is on the shelf. The argument is done. Women's sports are profitable, marketable, mainstream, and it started with a shoe. So yeah, this isn't just a milestone. It's a reset button. A full shift in how we define success, how we assign value, and who gets to be the face of the future. The best part? We're just getting started. Because if Caitlin Clark is setting the pace in year 1, what happens by year 5? What happens when the rest of the league catches up? When every brand has to pick a side, are you riding this wave or still pretending it's not happening? This isn't a trend. It's a turning point. And if you're not watching it closely, you're going to miss one of the most important sports stories of our time. Not because it's loud, but because it's long overdue. All right, let's keep going. Because the impact of this Caitlin Clark x Nike signature shoe situation, it hasn't even peaked yet. We're now looking at something much bigger than a marketing campaign. This isn't just about selling sneakers or making a splash during the WNBA season. This is about power redistribution in sports culture. For the longest time, women athletes have had to perform twice as hard just to be taken half as seriously. They could break records, win titles, go viral, and still, the endorsement world would hesitate. Brands would wait for proof, wait for the market to speak, wait for some man to validate her success. But this move, it skips all of that. Nike isn't waiting for Caitlin to prove her worth 5 years into her career. They're not asking for a championship before backing her like a franchise. They're saying, she already is a moment, and they're willing to invest in that moment before anyone else catches up. That is a seismic shift, because now every other brand is going to be asking themselves, who did we miss? Who did we underestimate? What woman athlete have we already overlooked because we didn't think her following could convert to real dollars? And they're realizing, maybe too late, that the real game changers aren't always the ones playing in the biggest stadiums. Sometimes, they're the ones rewriting the rules quietly, steadily, with every no-look pass and buzzer-beater shot. Caitlin Clark has always had the numbers. She's always had the skill. What she needed was someone to say, we believe in you now, not later. Nike said it, loudly, on a global stage. And let's talk about the global part for a second, because this isn't just about growing Caitlin's brand in the U.S. Nike's making it clear. They're exporting this. They're putting her shoe on shelves around the world. They're betting on her appeal across languages, across continents, across cultural lines. And they're right to, because women's sports fandom is already global. It always has been. What's been missing? Access, visibility, investment. And now, Nike's filling that gap, with Caitlin Clark at the center of it. This isn't just representation matters energy. It's representation sells reality. Now, does that mean the path ahead is easy? No. There's still a ton of baggage in the system. There are execs who will roll their eyes. Commentators who will downplay it. People still clutching onto outdated ideas of who gets to be called iconic. But the thing is, Caitlin doesn't need to convince them. She's already convinced the audience. The next gen, the buyers, the young girls who saw her dominate in college, who see her showing up in the pros, who now get to wear a shoe with her name on it and think, that could be me. And that is the real value. The true power of a signature sneaker isn't just that it sells, it's that it inspires. Because when young fans start seeing women athletes turned into brands, treated as legitimate icons from day one, it shifts how they see the world and their own potential in it. This is how you change the system. Not by begging for a seat at the table, but by showing that the table needs you, needs your presence, your influence, your dollars. And that's what Caitlin Clark is bringing to the table without apology. Let's also not forget, this isn't happening in a vacuum. It's happening at a time when women's sports, across the board, are in the middle of a full glow-up. Viewership is spiking. Social media traction is massive. Interest is expanding beyond niche audiences and into the mainstream. And Nike's decision is, frankly, a confirmation that this moment isn't a blip. It's a blueprint. That means we're about to see more deals, more investments, more brands trying to replicate the Clark formula. And maybe most importantly, more pressure on the entire sports marketing industry to do better, to be bolder, to finally put their money where the talent's been all along. Caitlin's just the beginning. So yeah, go ahead and doubt her. Say she's too young. Say the WNBA isn't big enough. Say the shoe won't sell. Nike's heard it all before, and they still cut the check. Because that's what belief looks like. Not lip service. Not wait and see. Just, here's your shot. Now run with it. And if history tells us anything, she will. So tell us, do you think this deal sets a new standard for women in sports? Are other brands going to step up? Is the industry finally catching up to what fans have known all along? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like. Share with someone who still thinks women's sports don't sell. And don't forget to subscribe. Because this is what it looks like when the game changes for good.